never been a weak Jew. I ain't never ever been a weak Jew.
I ain't never been
a weak Jew.
Shalom Israel. Today we are going to deal with the issue. I get a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages. Alright? Women want to know, do they have to have children according to the Bible? So we're going to examine the matter and we're going to see what the Bible says about women having children. Alright, let's start off at Genesis chapter 3 and verse 16. Let's get the beginning.
Genesis chapter 3 verse 16. Unto the woman he said.
Unto the who?
Woman he said. I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children.
So in the beginning it was ordained, in sorrow they were to bring forth children. That is why the woman was created, to bring forth more seed on the earth. So you must understand your purpose of being on this earth. You are helpmeet and you are to bring forth seed. Alright, from there, let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 13. So we had to start off in the beginning in Genesis and see what the Most High said. Read that.
1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 13. And withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house. And not only idle.
So the Bible's letting you know what happens when a woman doesn't have a man, doesn't have children. You become very, very idle. Read.
But tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not.
Because you don't have time occupied with your husband or with your man, you're running your mouth. Read.
I will therefore that the younger women marry.
He said, therefore, because of this, because of your actions when you have idle time, therefore the younger woman should what?
Marry.
The younger woman should marry.
Bear children.
Do what?
Bear children.
Do what?
Bear children.
The Bible says that you younger women should bear children. So there's no independent woman. There's no Beyonce. Alright? God says, marry and have children. Read.
Guide the house. Give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully.
Now let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. God made it very clear. He says, you younger woman, you are to marry and bear children. If you can't, you can't. But if you can, understand you need to get in line with God's word. Read.
1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 15.
Start at 14.
Verse 14. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
So understand, from the beginning, the woman was deceived. She was the weaker vessel, as it says in the epistles. Read.
Notwithstanding, she shall be saved.
So, because of her original sin, God made a way out for the woman. What he said, notwithstanding what?
She shall be saved in childbearing.
Notwithstanding, you woman shall be saved in what?
Childbearing.
Read.
If they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety.
So understand, God says that you woman, your opportunity to remove a ton of sins is in childbearing. That is your role. That is your job. Alright, from there, let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 30 and verse 1. Because today, that's something that our women look down upon. They don't want to have children. They don't understand the importance, the significance of children. We think that's something light. We get abortions. We get morning after pills. Alright? We look at we let our children run the streets and do whatever. We don't look at that as an honor to have children. Read that.
Genesis chapter 30 verse 1. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children.
And Rachel saw that she bare no children. Read.
Rachel envied her sister.
She did what?
Envied her sister.
So this sister got in a jealous spirit because somebody else could have children and she could not. That's not the spirit our sisters are rolling in today. Read.
And said unto Jacob, give me children.
And said what?
Give me children.
She desired to have children. That's not what we're seeing in you sisters today. You got to rethink yourself. Bethink yourself, as the scriptures say. Read.
Give me children or else I die.
What? Read that again. Read that again.
Give me children or else I die.
This sister was so distraught, so stressed that she could not have children, that she wanted death upon herself. Keep reading.
Verse 2. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? And she did. Behold, my Bilhah. Go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees.
So this sister wanted to bear a child so much that she allowed another woman to lay with her husband so she could bring forth a child. That is the spirit that our foremothers rolled in. They understood the importance. They understood their role in building up a nation. You cannot have a nation of people if you do not have children. These things are necessary. necessary in building a nation.
And she realized that she wasn't fulfilling her duty.
Exactly what the officer said. She understood that was her role. And if she couldn't do it, somebody else needed to get that done. Because that if the woman ain't doing it, who is? You can't have no children. It ain't gonna happen. That's what you sisters got to understand. The same way you're not going to camp, we can't have no children. So y'all got to take that role in that position very, very serious. Was that all on 3?
Verse 3. And she beheld, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her.
You see that? That she could have children by her. If she couldn't fulfill her duty, she makes sure somebody else did. All right, from there, let's go to Sirach chapter 30 and verse 3.
Sirach chapter 30 verse 3. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
So it says, he, read that again, I'm sorry.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
So when we teach our son, we are grieving our enemies. Now, how can I teach my son if I don't have one? How is that going to happen? How are we going to grieve the enemy if we don't have any children? Read.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Though his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead.
You see that? That is how you're going to leave the prophets behind. We have to have seeds behind us. You have to have men in waiting. Like they said, I had 7,000 prophets in reserve. Who is that today? Those will be our children. Read.
Verse 4. Though his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead.
Read.
For he had left one behind, that is like himself.
You see that? We must leave one behind that is like unto ourselves. These things cannot happen if we do not have children. You women don't understand. We cannot fulfill the prophecy without a godly seed being raised up. All right, was that 6 yet?
Verse 5. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him.
Read.
And when he died, he was not sorrowful. He left behind him an avenger.
He left behind him what?
An avenger.
You see that? God says we must leave behind ourselves an avenger. How can you have an avenger if you women don't want to have children? Read.
Against his enemies.
Against his enemies. Because we got to teach our children from the day they are born how to walk and deal in these scriptures. And these things grieve our enemies. But you women don't understand the importance of having children. You want to get the high-paying job. You want to have the nice purse. You want to have the nice clothes. Because a child's going to mess up your figure. All these not senseless things instead of fulfilling your role that God gave you. All right, now give me Malachi chapter 2 and verse 15.
Malachi chapter 2 verse 15. And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed.
That what?
That he might seek a godly seed.
Now, how are we going to find, how is the Most High God in Christ going to find a godly seed if nobody's bearing children? Read that again.
And did not he make one? Yet had the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed.
God is looking for a godly seed. Because all of us, we have been defiled with America. We have been defiled with Christmas. We have been defiled with Thanksgiving. But through us having children, guess what? We have the opportunity to raise our children up in righteousness from day one. They have the opportunity to never see a Christmas tree. To never see a Thanksgiving ham. But that it can only be done through childbirth. All right? Finish that all the way through. Read it one more time all the way through, officer.
And did not he make one? Yet had the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth.
Now go to Psalms 127 and verse 3. Let's see what God says about these children that you women are commanded to have. How does God look upon this thing? Because we saw how our foremothers looked upon it. We saw how our forefathers looked upon it. Let's see what God says. Read that.
Psalms chapter 127 verse 3. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord.
Children are what?
Children are an heritage of the Lord.
Something that's a heritage is important. That is something that's important. That heritage can't be if you women aren't having children. Read.
And the fruit of the womb is his reward.
The fruit of your womb, you sisters, is the reward. That is God's reward to you. He is dealing with you when you're having children. Read.
As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth.
Read.
Happy is the man.
Happy is the man. Read.
That have his quiver full of them.
The Bible says you will make your husband happy when he has a quiver full of children. So not only are you ordained or put in place to have one children, but many children. God said, be fruitful and multiply. Read that verse 5 again.
Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate.
So, God says that the woman shall be saved in childbearing. God says, notwithstanding, in sorrow thou shalt bring forth seed. God says he's seeking a godly seed. So, I pray that these scriptures bear witness with your spirit and you understand what was being brought out. Alright, and with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join IUIC will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join IUIC to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this Join IUIC channel to get your latest updates from all our YouTube channels. Shalom.